Hey everyone, so I recently got a comment asking about how to make a lighting effect that cycles the pad lights line by line from top to bottom, left to right, and one pad at a time. So I thought I'd make a quick little video about that, just in case anyone found it helpful. I'm going to be using a Launchpad X and Ableton Live Lite. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've already got my Lite track set up. So if you don't know how to do that, go check out my How to Make a Light Show for Beginners tutorial. The first few minutes will talk you through how to get to this stage. So I'm going to get a MIDI effects rack and I'm going to drag that down right behind my pages here. And I'm going to select these three lines here so that it expands, and I'm going to right click and create a chain. And then we'll click on key, scroll across a bit so we can see better, and I'm going to press down on the Launchpad, the button that I want to trigger the effect. So I'm going to do this one just because this is where the effect's going to start, but you can choose whichever one you want. I'm just going to do this one just to keep it simple. So I'm going to hold that down and double click on the mouse on this green line. So now only this button lights up when I press down on the Launchpad. So now what we're going to do is we're going to choose what color we want this to be. So we're going to add a velocity here. This velocity is what decides the color, basically. I talk about that a bit more in my tutorial if you want to hear a little bit more in depth about what this means. But for now, I'm just going to put number 3 in, which is white. So there we go. So now when I press that, it lights up white. And then I'm going to add a chord. And I'm going to put 1 plus 2 plus 3. And so those 4 light up. And then to make these 4 also light, well, actually it's going to be these 4 here. It doesn't really matter which ones light up. This is just for the arpeggiator we're about to put in. So I'm going to put 4 there. So once we've added that chord in and put it to 4, we're going to add an arpeggiator. Here it is. And we're going to leave it on up. We're going to press hold. We're going to change repeat to 1. And then what I'm going to do, we're going to put steps to 8. And then for now, I'm just going to turn it off. But we will be turning this back on for our effect. But I find it's a lot easier to make the effects with that arpeggiator off. So now we're going to add another MIDI effect rack. Select the 3 lines again and key. And then we're going to right click and create a chain. Hold down our first button, double click, and then we're going to drag this green line down so it's only on one note there. Our very first note. So then what we're going to do is we are going to create a line down here. So we want to make these light up in the direction that the lights are going to be traveling. So they're going to be traveling down. So we want to light this one up next. So that's going to be -4. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a chord. And this first one is going to be -4. And then we're going to do this one, so this is going to be -8, and then -12. So those 4 have lit up, and then we're just going to add another chord, and we're going to duplicate that by doing -16. So we've got our first row there, our first column even, and we're going to add an arpeggiator. Select hold, we're going to change up to down, repeat once, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on rate and I'm going to select map to macro 1. So I'll show you why in just a minute. And then, so when I press this, you can see it travels down the line. And then all we want to do is we want to do the same for each of these. And super easy way to do this, we're just going to duplicate the one that we've already done. So click on this chord and Command D, which is going to duplicate it for us. And then to make it start on this line, we're just going to click this green line here and drag it up 1 note. There we go. And then we're going to duplicate that 2 more times and do the same. And just to show, so for now all the lights are lighting up together. That's because we've got this arpeggiator off. So if I turn that back on, you can see what's happening there. And if I change the rate to 1, you can see that it's going to go down the line and then do the next one, etc. So I'm just going to turn that back off for now. And then, so to do these 4 lines, we're going to have to do something very slightly different. So we're going to duplicate it again, move it up 1, and then when I press this, you can see that it actually starts down here. That's because that's the next line in the sequence. So what we want to do is we want to move this to this button. So we're going to do that by using pitch. So we're going to drag a pitch right in front of the first chord there. And to get from here to this button, we're just going to change this to 28. So there we go, it's now starting up there. And then we can carry on and duplicate this 3 more times. And make sure you move all of these green lines over 1. There we go. So now we can turn this arpeggiator on. And this rate here, so this was originally on 1/8. So, which is a pretty cool effect, I think anyway. But if we want to, but to make these start slower, we want more of a gap between each one starting. We're going to make it, turn it to the right. So there we go, so 1/1. That's going to give us more of a time before the next one in the row starts. If you wanted it to go faster, you can turn it to the left, and that's going to start all of them a lot quicker. So I'm going to put that down to 1/1 for now, because we want a nice gap between each one, so we've got plenty of time to get down all the column. And then this, so this where it says synced right here, this is where we right-clicked on our arpeggiator before. And why we did that was so that now that button over here is now here, and we can move this, and that will change this, but it will also change all of the other ones that we duplicated. So instead of, if we're trying to work out what speed we want it to go, instead of having to click through each of these one at a time, we can just do it all from this button here. So if we turn it to the left, this is going to make our lights go faster down the column. Turn it to the right, they're going to move slower down the column. So you can kind of work out, experiment with what you think a good speed is. I found that 1/8 is quite good if you've got that with 1/1. So you can see there. 1/2 on here and 1/16 on here also works quite well. That's a bit faster. So you can mess around with that and see what works best for you. So yeah, I hope you found that helpful, and thanks for watching.